Hi friends, Chris Hardy here, the Associate Pastor at West Lawn United Methodist Church. And again, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us on our daily devotional videos with Pastor Jeff and I, especially this week, as we continue along with our favorite Christmas carols. And my final carol actually isn't a Christmas carol, it's an Epiphany song. And admittedly, off the top of my head, it is the only Epiphany song that I know. It is hymn number 254, We Three Kings. Now, Epiphany is that season after Christmas. It comes from the Greek word which means the appearance or manifestation. And that is, why we call it Epiphany is because it's when the Magi arrived to see Jesus. As many historians or archaeologists believe, and even a closer reading of our biblical text, it wasn't, a couple days after Jesus being born, but probably closer to 2 years. At any rate, this is the time when Jesus was revealed to not just the Jews, not just to the chosen people of the Old Testament, but to all people, to the Gentiles, those that are not Jewish. So that is the season of Epiphany. And it's this time that it's always January 6th. That's 13 days after Christmas. And it's always that time that we celebrate when Jesus was revealed to all. And then the Magi bringing those gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, traditionally in our artwork, in our nativity scenes that we put on our mantles or in our churches or on the lawns, they usually include three magi, when in reality, those three magi were never identified, and it is historically probably more realistic that they were more than three, but we choose three because of the symbolic gifts of the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Many archaeologists and historians have said it would be too dangerous to travel that long of a distance by themselves in three, and if they were rich, which the magi were said to be, that they would travel in large caravans, and more than three of them, plus their servants. So, at any rate, a little rabbit trail for you, a little historical nugget for your biblical trivia night. The author of this tune, of this carol, John Hopkins, wrote it in 1857 and first published it in 1863. And from his inception, he always wanted verses 2, 3, and 4, which each details one of the symbolic gifts, the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh, to be sung as solos, preferably by male voices, he said. I mean, this is 150 years ago, and he wanted men to sing it, and then stanzas 1 and 5 to be sung collectively. And he writes here, each of verses 2, 3, and 4 is sung as a solo. And he actually says here, Kings Gaspard, Melchior, and Balthazar. Those are traditionally the three names given to the three magi, not from our denomination or Protestant, but this comes from Roman Catholicism, who through their tradition have identified or not identified, have given these names to them. It's not biblical, it is just part of tradition. So at any rate, verses 2, 3, and 4 sung as a solo with these kings to the music of Gaspard's part in the first and fifth verses, the accompaniment and chorus being the same throughout. Only verse 1 and 5 are sung as trio. Men's voices are best for the parts of the three kings, but the music is set in G clef for the accommodation of children. I have no idea what that G clef means for the accommodation of children, but to me, as a non-musical person, reading that sounds like it's very basic, and even children can sing it, is what I hear him saying. And maybe, just maybe, that's why I enjoy it so much, because it just rolls off your tongue, and it has that nice melody, that nice tune to it. And as you'll see here in a short while, the video that I have chosen for you comes from my childhood, but more on that in a second. But what I also love about this hymn, this carol, is the imagery of the Star of Bethlehem, which the Magi are following, and as it says, guide us to thy perfect light. Now we see the Magi following this light to find Jesus in the manger or at his home, wherever it may be. I hope I'm not stirring too much of the theological pot here or your biblical reading. But the Magi, the Gentiles, even representing us, following the perfect light. And even today in our context, not just 2,000 years ago when Jesus was revealed to the Gentiles and the manifestation of Christ, but for us today, even us desiring and needing to follow the one true light. Guide us to thy perfect light. So I see it in our own personal journeys as well. So I love this song. I love this carol, and maybe it became part of me even before I even knew it, because CBS used to run a Christmas special in the late 80s, early 90s, airing first in 1987, Google tells me, and this was the Claymation Christmas Celebration. You might remember the Carol of the Bells, and you might remember the California Raisins dancing, but I also remember this rendition of We Three Kings. It is as printed in our United Methodist hymnal, and I hope you enjoy it. It brings back fond memories for me, and maybe this had planted that nugget of why I enjoy this carol so much. Hope you enjoy it. May God be with you until we meet again.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star.
Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to that perfect light.
Born a king on Bethlehem plain, gold I bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never over us all to reign.
Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to that perfect light.
Frankincense to offer have I, incense owns the deity high, rare and praising, all men raising, worship him God most high.
Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to that perfect light.
Glorious now, behold him arise, King and God and sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, earth to the heavens replies.
Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to that perfect light. Oh yeah.
So there was this lady in the grocery store a couple days before Christmas, digging headfirst into the meat cooler, searching through the frozen turkeys, looking for a large turkey. All the ones that they had, she decided were not big enough for her family and all the company she was expecting. So she was digging through all these frozen turkeys, and finally, exasperated, she yells over to the stock boy, "Do these turkeys get any bigger?" The stock boy turned to her and says, "No, ma'am, the turkeys are dead."